Supreme Court has now rejected Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s effort to be removed from the ballots in Wisconsin and Michigan. The Supreme Court handed down yesterday's decision without further explanation. Kennedy argued that keeping his name on the ballots in two key battleground states violated his First Amendment by implying that he was still a candidate. He suspended his independent presidential campaign in August and endorsed former President Donald Trump. But state election officials had argued that early and absentee voting in the two swing states was already underway.